and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lisa and my spiritual name is Santoshi. If you haven't met me before, I am the founder of Vingard Wellness and I am creating videos about yoga, meditation and wellness. So I actually already started creating a lot of videos that I will share with you, but I realized when I was watching them that I actually never introduced myself to you. So this video will be about who am I, what I'm going to share with you, and my history. So I'm Swedish and I am originally from the island Gotland where I was born. But when I was 15 years old, I said to my dad that I wanted to move to Stockholm by myself. And it seems crazy to me now because when I meet 15-year-olds, they're really just children. But my dad was very supportive and he said that if I could study up my grades to get into the school that I wanted to get into, then I could move to Stockholm. And at the time I just wanted to get away from the small island where I'm from and I wanted to live in Stockholm. So I studied really hard to get into the school that I wanted to go to. After school, I went to India for 6 months, so a lot of my friends went to university, but I really wanted to go to India and Sri Lanka for 6 months. And I really wanted my sister to come, but at one point she couldn't come. And then I said to her that, okay, then I'll book the ticket anyway, because I'm gonna go. And then it left her no choice to come with me. So I really love traveling. I have traveled 33 countries and I lived in Italy and the UK previous to moving home to Sweden in Stockholm where I live now. I am a yoga teacher and I also guide a lot of meditation, and before becoming a yoga teacher I have had a lot of ups and downs in my life. So I used to have eating disorders. I had bulimia and anorexia, which I got when I was 13 years old, and I had it really seriously for 2 years when I was in hospital for anorexia. And then 1 more year just coming back to finding some kind of balance after that. So I think a lot of people think that I'm this super yogi, super happy, super positive. But I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life, which has really made me be this appreciative and seeing life the way I see it now. When I was going through therapy at the time when I had my eating disorders, we realized that a lot of the reasons why I had my eating disorders is because my mom has schizophrenia, which she got when I was 6 months old. So when I was 6 months, she was in hospital for the first time for schizophrenia. So there's been a lot of years dealing with that, and I had my first depression when I was 13. So my life has been very hard, but it's also been very beautiful and full of blessings, and I have a very beautiful relationship with my dad and with my grandmother because my mom has her mental issues. So it's taken a lot of years, but I'm very grateful to say that I feel like I found a lot of balance in my life, both with happiness and with health in general. So I started practicing yoga when I was traveling in India and Sri Lanka, which is now 9 years ago, and this November it will actually be 10 years. So I've practiced yoga for my own well-being for 9 years before I decided to become a yoga teacher. Last year I was in a corporate job that I had been in for 5 years, and I was getting promoted and I had my dream job, I thought. But at the time I was just stressing more and more. I was losing hair. I started to get some memory loss, which I took very seriously. And that was when I started to practice yoga very, very seriously. So I was practicing sometimes twice a day, and I started meditating every morning. And in November I decided to go to a yoga retreat in Zanzibar, where I was doing yoga for 4 or 5 hours a day. I was meditating a lot, and when I came back from that retreat, I just had this epiphany, like, what am I doing with my life? And I had this inner voice for a while, which was asking, like, is this it? Like, I was working so much and I was stressing so much, and I had so many meetings and calls and emails. So at the end of the day and in the weekends, I had no energy left to be with my family or with my friends. And that's when I decided that I need to quit my job and I need to work with my passion and my hobby. So when I really asked myself, like, what is it that I do on my time off that I don't get paid for? And for me, that was yoga and travel. Then it was so easy for me. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a yoga teacher and I'm going to host retreats everywhere in the world. And yeah, so I quit my job because they actually declined my holiday that I requested. It's really funny because basically what I did was that I asked this yoga teacher, which is the best teacher I've ever had. He's from Israel, and I just practiced with him for 4 days in the Maldives, but that was enough for me. He's really the best teacher I've ever had. And when I asked him where he did his yoga teaching training, he said that he went to Rishikesh, Akanda Yoga, and did it. So I went to Rishikesh and I booked the yoga teacher training, I booked the flights, I paid the deposits, and then I asked for my holiday. And when I put my holiday request, it was actually declined by my manager. And at the time, I just saw it as the biggest sign from the universe to, that was it. Then it's time to let go and surrender and not, force this holiday or start an argument. So I just said, okay, then I have to hand in my notice. And I had worked there for 5 years. So it was very crazy, but it was also the best thing I've ever done. So when I went to India, I came to this yoga ashram. I'd never been in an ashram before. And I did 300 hours of yoga teacher training. So the whole days we were doing yoga, meditated, studied, chanting mantras, and I met people from everywhere in the world who are now my family. And it's really funny because I actually so now I work for myself in my own business, but I actually started the business before going to India. So I started my business, I created my website, I launched a retreat. So I'm very ahead all the time, which I actually think is really good to be, because if you believe in yourself and you start creating these things prior to the teacher training or whatever your dream is, then it's going to happen. Then there's kind of like no way back. So after my life-changing 2 months in India, I'm back now in Stockholm and I am specializing in private yoga. So it's kind of like personal training, but within yoga. And I really prefer this style because when you have a group, then you kind of arrange the class to suit everyone. But when you do private yoga, you can design it, or well, I design it after the student. So if it's someone that has any injuries or anything specific that they like to work on, then we will do that. I also have retreats, private events, and also big events that I do here in Stockholm. And most of my private classes are actually online. And I also have some workshops, and I'm trained in Hatha and Kundalini yoga. So my yoga is very spiritual, but it's also this magical recipe when you have been to a yoga class and you feel kind of like the yogic high, when you just feel so good. I'm always striving to make my students feel like that after a class with me. So my channel is about yoga, meditation and wellness. So it will be both yoga classes, it will be meditation classes, and the wellness is self-care and self-love. And that for me is how we eat, how we sleep, how we take care of ourselves. So I really hope that you want to join me here on my channel. And my name on Instagram is Vingard Wellness. So I'm so excited to connect with all of you. Thank you so much for listening today. Namaste.